Lupin the Third, the First. What a strange title for a movie. I've never really liked this title. I feel like it should have just been called Lupin the Third. But we'll talk about the meaning of that title in a minute. If you don't know who Lupin the Third is, this is an anime character who's been around since the 70s. This is one of the most influential characters in all of Eastern animation, actually. The reason why I have Cowboy Bebop on my display here is because the character of Spike Spiegel and many others of the Bebop crew are actually heavily influenced by Lupin the Third. So yeah, big freaking deal. And in this movie, Lupin the Third is after the Bresson Diary, not just for the money and the glory, as he always is with everything, but because he actually has personal connections to this thing, having Lupin the First, his grandfather, going after it generations prior. And in doing so, he meets a woman named Letitia, who also has familial connections to the Bresson Diary. So together they must team up together, along with all of their friends, to prevent the Nazis from unlocking the secrets of the Bresson Diary. I am so thankful that this movie came out this year. I have been hyped for this movie since the end of 2019, or maybe even the fall of 2019. Ever since I saw the first bit of footage for this movie, I was 100% on board. 3D anime has honestly looked pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. Almost all 3D anime up until this point has definitely been weeb shit. The best example that I could come up with of a movie that doesn't look like total fanfic garbage is Blame. That's actually a pretty good movie, but Blame is nowhere near on as great of an animation level as Lupin the Third, the First. This animation is so freaking spectacular. It finally proves that Japan is ready to play with the big dogs. They're finally on a level that is somewhat similar to something like Pixar or Disney. This is the best CG animation Japan has ever produced. It looks like almost photorealistic in some parts, but also equally cartoony. I freaking love it. So I saw the dub for this film instead of the sub. I could still go see the sub next Tuesday if I want to, which I actually might. But since this movie was animated in 3D CG animation, they definitely had to take actual mouth movements into consideration when animating this film. So the dub basically doesn't really match up with what these characters are saying at all. But the voice actors, being the original voice actors who've always voiced these characters for the English dub, having them come back and having them be the fully realized versions of these characters as they've come to be, it honestly doesn't matter. They play these characters so unbelievably well that I honestly forgot about it. I will say, though, that going into this movie, you kind of do have to know who these characters are and how they operate. This movie basically automatically assumes that you do, and that's how they treat these characters as well. I highly recommend checking out a few episodes of the original 70s run of this show, as well as The Castle of Cagliostro. That movie is basically essential viewing for anyone who loves animation. Not just anime, but animation in general. That's Hayao Miyazaki's directorial debut. You kind of have to see it. Letitia is a new character, as far as I know, with this series. And she actually was a pretty endearing part of this entire movie. What a fun new addition to the team. And if they plan on doing sequels to this film, which I really hope that they do, I hope that they bring her back. What a fun new intro to this show. The vibes that I got in this movie were very heavily influenced, I feel, by The Adventures of Tintin. I got a lot of those vibes. And I mean that as a compliment, 100%. The Adventures of Tintin was a great movie, but this movie still feels like it's completely on its own. The couple of flaws that I do have with this movie are kind of insignificant. There will be some times where character motivations will kind of just flip on a dime, which is, Lupin the Third is kind of ridiculous in its own way with how it's always been set up, but there was a couple character choices that I was like, what? Okay. I also feel like this film kind of was begging for people to go and see it so that they can make more of these 3D CG movies, which like I said, I'm 100% down to see more of these things. But like there's an end tag at the end of this movie that says, "I would like to keep sending Lupin on adventures around the world." Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Please see this movie. Look, I get that you want people to do that, but maybe save that till like I don't know, the commentaries on the Blu-ray, not on the actual theatrical release. That's just gonna make your audience go like, fine, cool, I'll come see this movie again. I mean, come on, the title of this movie is Lupin the Third, the First. Like, it's basically saying, this is the first animated movie in this sequel, maybe there won't be more if you don't show up. Yeah, it should have just been called Lupin the Third, come on. It's just an awkward freaking title. But anyways, the animation is spectacular. The story is very fun. It's very short. It's like straight to the point. The voice acting of the original dub is 100% at the top of their game as per always. And I loved what they did with these characters in this movie. I'm going to give Lupin the Third, the First, an A-. This honestly is my favorite animated movie of 2020 so far. And hopefully, I would be a little bit sad if it ends up being that way, but at the same time, I'm not going to be surprised if it is. But I am crossing my fingers that Wolf Walkers absolutely knocks it out of the park, and maybe even Soul. I'm not like too hyped for Soul, but I hope that it is going to surprise me and be like one of the best Pixar movies ever. But anyways, guys, have you seen Lupin the Third, the First? If you have, type away and let me know what you thought of it. I'm very curious to see if any of you actually know what the hell this show is. But yeah, anyways, like and sub, do whatever you gotta do, and have a nice one.